Hello world, DelPortoDev here, and here it is. The final, full review video you've all been waiting for and asking me about every single day. The full review video of the Lenovo L340. To all my subscribers out there, I would like to thank you so much for being patient. This has been a learning process for me, and after my first few videos, I realized I had a lot of work to do establishing a process for reviewing each laptop that comes through my channel so that I could give you, my viewers, a solid baseline comparison between several different laptops with very similar specs so that we, as users, see the differences in performance that we get between manufacturers. So what do I think about the Lenovo L340? This might be the most suitable definition of a sleeper when it comes to a gaming laptop. This laptop is so minimalistic, so professional looking. If you take the NVIDIA stickers off this laptop, no one would ever know that this is capable of gaming after hours. I am an absolute fan of this laptop. I am in complete love with it. So let's talk about the build. The Lenovo L340 is made primarily of plastic. You won't find any glass here. However, what I've found is that it's very stiff plastic, so I don't find too much flex, and I've been throwing it in and out of a bag the entire week going to and from work without any issues. And I want to give a quick look at the I/O here. What we're seeing is not a whole lot of ports, but we do have, here's our connector for the DC power jack. Gigabit LAN is this little expanding connector here. And then we do have our HDMI, USB 3.0 ports, and then a 3.5mm headphone jack, and a USB-C 3.0 port. So, quick overall recap of the specs of the Lenovo L340. For this model that I have here, it comes with a 9th generation Intel Core i7-9750H, a 6-core, 12-thread mobile processor capable of dishing out a ton of power, 8 GB of RAM, upgradable to 16 GB of RAM by the user, coupled with an NVIDIA GTX 1650 graphics card and a 256 GB NVMe SSD storage drive. This model here is rocking a 15.6-inch 1080p IPS panel. It's rated at 300 nits peak brightness on the Lenovo website. I would say very usable outdoors. However, color accuracy information on the screen was not publicly made available by Lenovo on their website. The keyboard on the Lenovo L340 was just an absolute pleasure to use. I've been daily driving this laptop every day this week, and even for extended periods of time. Using both the keyboard and the trackpad on this laptop definitely gave me no issues whatsoever. However, it is worth noting the trackpad on the L340 is not a Windows Precision trackpad. So I definitely would say the trackpad on this laptop is a step below what I saw on the Asus G531 GT, which used Windows Precision drivers. So I would definitely say, if you've got room in your bag, you're gonna wanna be bringing an external mouse along with you with this laptop whenever you can for the best experience. Speakers on the Lenovo L340, in my opinion, quite good. I've definitely heard louder laptop speakers out there from other manufacturers, but this is definitely a huge step up from what I heard on the garbage speakers of the Asus G531 GT. Sorry, Asus. Battery life on the Lenovo L340 was an interesting story. I would say great for a gaming laptop, not so good for a productivity laptop. It's kind of in this in-between area. Whereas your average gaming laptop can get around 3 to 4 hours of battery life, Lenovo L340 was giving me an average of 4 to 5 hours before undervolting out of the box, and close to about 6 hours after undervolting, which is, in my opinion, great for a gaming laptop. But for a lot of those productivity users out there that are used to their MacBook Pros and their Lenovo Carbons, it is a little bit on the low side. But that's the compromise you make for having a sleeper that's got some pretty good GPU horsepower under the hood as well. And here's a quick sound test of the laptop running at full speed on ultra settings for Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And what I'm seeing is this is pretty quiet compared to most gaming laptops. Much quieter than what I'm used to. And at idle most of the time, to be honest, this laptop ran in fanless mode. So I'm going to be quiet, let you listen to the fans for a second. And here's a picture of the display at night in a dark room to show what the backlight bleed looks like. And right off the bat, I want to say the picture makes it look a lot worse than it does in person. The only spot where I really noticed some backlight bleed to my naked eye was really up to that top left corner. For all the other parts of the screen, it was pretty much unnoticeable, or at least I was just not really paying attention enough to it to actually notice. So it looks like there is some slight backlight bleed, but nothing too bad. I've definitely seen worse. And here I opened up the laptop so we can get a good look at the cooling solution as well as upgradability. And here we see there's 2 fans as well as copper pipes going across the top of the chassis. And here's the NVMe SSD storage included. Now it comes with this half-size NVMe SSD, but I can confirm you can just use that second black right screw to the right, and you can put a full-size NVMe SSD into this laptop. Now it looks like above the fans on the right side and below the battery, there is this space for what looks like a 2.5-inch drive here. But I want to point out there's no SATA connector to the left or right side of this hard drive, so it looks like we're going to need one of those little expansion cables that I've seen come with a lot of laptops. However, my model did not come with one of these expansion ribbon cables, so you may need to purchase an extra accessory to get a 2.5-inch drive added into this particular model. So here we have our user accessible RAM slot. Now it is a single slot. So what does that mean? If you want to upgrade this model to 16 gigabytes of RAM, you're going to have to remove the included 8 gigabyte DIMM from the manufacturer and install a brand new 16 gigabyte single stick module of DDR4 memory. Now this is a little bit unfortunate. I'm not sure if it comes down to the form factor or cooling or whatever they were doing with the design of this laptop. Most games benefit from having dual channel memory. But when it comes down to it, more RAM is always better than less RAM. So if you want to upgrade it, I would definitely go for it. Just know before buying this laptop, this is what you get. And here we have the benchmarks. What I know all you techies out there in the audience really came for. Here's Geekbench. And here I'm showing the single core and multi-core scores calculated by Geekbench. And we're going to see this throughout all of my charts here. The blue represents the stock voltages out of the box when you first turn on your laptop from Lenovo. This is the performance you get. And then the red is after I applied undervolting with Intel XTU. So what we see is a small increase in the multi-core scores, but overall pretty close. We're definitely going to see more impact in some programs compared with others. And next up, we have TimeSpy, a 3D gaming benchmark from 3D Mark. And again, in blue, we're seeing the stock voltages out of the box from Lenovo, and in red, we're seeing undervolted performance, and the difference is just massive. In this benchmark, I actually saw close to a 40% improvement with CPU calculations in this benchmark. Now what this will affect most in our games is physics. When there's multiple objects on the screen with their positions being calculated, handling things like collisions, this is what we're going to see the most benefit with. And here we have the hugely popular Cinebench benchmark, and this is the Release 20, and actually out of the box I was slightly underwhelmed with the performance I was getting from the Lenovo L340, but as soon as I hit that undervolt, my score jumped by about 30%. Just an absolutely massive gain. And for all you content creators out there, here's Adobe Premiere, and I tested this exporting a 4K resolution 2-minute video clip, and out of the box that took about 7 minutes and 19 seconds, and then after I applied that undervolt, that shaved off an entire minute from my export times. So definitely if you're doing tons of exports and rendering, you're going to want to look into undervolting this laptop. And here are my past mark scores on the Lenovo L340. This is a very comprehensive benchmark which tests the CPU, graphics, as well as memory and disk write speeds. And for the specifications of this laptop, I saw good numbers when it came to the graphics, memory, and disk scores, but there was definitely room to be desired for the CPU, and after undervolting, that problem was solved. And what I saw was big gains on the CPU mark score as well as even the 3D mark score, but as expected, memory mark and disk mark stayed about the same. I didn't expect any gains for those. I think that score I saw with the disk was actually anomalous. I'm going to do more testing to see if this continues, but I actually got a very high speed the first time around with the disk performance, and then the second time and the third time around, it was significantly lower. I'm not sure if there were other operations going on in the background affecting this maybe. We'll have to see through further testing. And last but not least, we have gaming benchmarks. Now again, I'm putting blue as the stock performance out of the box, and red, we're going to see the performance jumps with undervolting. Now this was all done at 1080p resolution, and what I saw was that most of these games were actually quite playable out of the box. So we're getting speeds like 55 FPS for PUBG, 75 in CSGO on average, and 68 for Overwatch at ultra settings, but a little bit lower at around 43 FPS on high settings with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So again, we're seeing that if you're looking to play most of those AAA games, very graphics intensive, you may want to look elsewhere past this laptop. But undervolting, we are seeing significant FPS gains for almost every game. So myself personally, having my own gaming desktop, I'd be happy to have this laptop to use for work and then just gaming to play certain titles on the side. So overall, I'm quite happy with this performance. And if you undervolt this laptop a little bit, you're going to get even better performance. So as you can see, the Lenovo L340 benchmarked quite good, and it performed even better with undervolting. Now, a lot of my viewers out there were quick to point out in my initial unboxing video, I am aware there is a second ventilation grill on this laptop underneath the screen. Still, when it comes down to it, for a gaming laptop, one vent on the bottom and one vent underneath the screen just isn't quite enough to give that full performance. So, even after undervolting, if you are buying a laptop primarily for gaming, you're still probably going to want to pass this laptop up. But if there's one thing I could say to Lenovo if they were watching this, why don't you undervolt this laptop out of the box? I was able to get on average 10 to 15% more performance with undervolting. That's massive. So if you pick up this laptop, if you want to squeeze every little bit of performance you can get out of this bad boy, taking a look in my video description down below, I'll place a link to a video showing you how to safely undervolt. So when it comes down to it, overall, I would say Lenovo gave us a pretty sweet package. I don't think you can get another business-oriented laptop like this that can also game, but that's the way I would look at it. I would look at this as a productivity laptop that can also game. I wouldn't really look at this as a primary gaming laptop. I managed to pick up this model under $1,000, and I would say that's the sweet spot. I don't think you want to be paying more than $1,000 for this model, at least here in the US. I am aware that in other countries, the price is always a bit higher. And actually, at the time of recording this video, it looks like Newegg is having a sale right now on the 17-inch model of this laptop. They have that one for under $1,000 with the same specifications. So I would say, if you don't mind the extra weight or bulk, that's a good buy right now for sure. And I'll have a link to that in the description down below. So, final review sentiment on the Lenovo L340. Pretty sweet, Lenovo. Good job. You gave us the sleeper of gaming laptops. So, the Lenovo L340, DaportoDev recommended. If you could find this laptop under $1,000 and you're a student or productivity worker that wants to be able to play some games on the side for fun on their breaks or after hours socially with friends, this is the laptop to get. I would be happy to use this as my daily driver laptop for work and play for the next few years. So, thanks for watching. Like this video if it helped you out. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Thanks again to my subscribers for being so patient while I got my review process planned and laid out. I'll be placing links down below to buy this laptop, as well as to that 17-inch version of this laptop that's on sale at the time of recording this video. I'll be placing links to all my social media handles, as well as my Discord server. If you want to ask me more questions, I'm online every day, and there's many other great people on there that are always willing to help you out as well. So thanks again for watching. DaportoDev out.